influencer where I'm not trying to influence you or sell you anything, but I am trying to inspire you. My name is Imani Scholler. I am your host. Behind me, you can see my co-host, my dog Teddy. And today we're going to be talking about ways that you can become a tourist in your own city, as well as 4 underrated things to do in Detroit, Michigan, which is my city. So let's go ahead and get started. So tip number 1, and my absolute favorite thing to do to become a tourist in your own city or in any city really, is to take a tour. When I was in Chicago, one of my favorite experiences was I actually took a ghost tour, and I saw so many unique things that I wouldn't have even thought to go see otherwise. But tours don't necessarily have to mean contacting a tour agency and driving out to go see something that you haven't seen. It could even be a self-guided tour where you take your headphones, maybe you ride a bike, and you go around the city, maybe in search of nature or in search of street arts. I've also had a really great experience taking a food tour where you go and you try different types of food from different types of restaurants. You might even say like, oh, well, I'm really in the mood for Asian food, so I want to do an Asian inspired food tour and find all the best Asian spots in your city or area. There are so many great options for tours. In Detroit, where I currently live, there is a really great tour agency known as Detroit Wheelhouse. They have city tours that you can take by bike. It's a really great way to just see the city through fresh eyes. My second tip for becoming a tourist in your own city is finding a way to be active within your city. Now, this could be anything from kayaking or rock climbing to horseback riding, zip lining, maybe even riding bikes or a scooter. There are so many different ways that you can find to get active within your own city. For example, my boyfriend loves his one wheel, which is like a motorized skateboard, and he has literally been to so many new areas of the city that he never would have visited had he not had his one wheel. So find a way to be active in your city, and that'll definitely give you a new perspective and get you to some new places that you otherwise would have never even thought to visit. My third tip to being a tourist in your own city is gonna sound a bit obvious, but it's actually just to be a little bit basic. Sometimes we're so in search of like the new niche thing that we don't even like see the things that are right in front of our eyes. I had lived in Detroit for the majority of my life, and I realized as a full-grown adult that I had never been to the Detroit Institute of Arts, which is a huge museum here. I had never been to even the African American Museum, which I really loved, because those things just in my mind were like, oh, everybody does it. When you come to Detroit, this is what people do. So it seemed really basic, it seemed really Instagrammable, so it kind of wasn't my vibe. But when I went in to go and actually view these places and spend time there, I could see what was so popular about it. So maybe today just visit a spot that you haven't seen before in your city, that you haven't been to. Maybe it's a very famous church or a beautiful steeple that you haven't been to visit. Could be a good idea of something that you might want to go do, or a nature spot or a viewpoint, like somewhere that you can go and view the birds, or somewhere that you can go and view the stars. Maybe a dark sky park might be a good idea for you. There are so many different options of things that you can do that might be basic, but if you haven't tried them, don't knock them until you try them. Number 4 tip for being a tourist in your own city is to book a staycation. Tourists don't really live here, so they don't have like the responsibilities and things that you as a person who lives here does have. So you have to make yourself feel like a tourist. If you have kids, drop the kids off with a sitter. Like in my case, if you have dogs, I like to take my dogs to a doggy hotel and just give yourself time to have no responsibilities. That's really the best thing there is about being a tourist, is you really don't have to worry about much. You don't have to worry about work, you don't have to worry about chores, you don't have to worry about any of that. So sometimes I'll stay at my house and I'll pull up the air mattress in the living room and we'll watch movies and have a movie marathon with a ton of 7-Eleven snacks. You might go to a hotel and like binge watch a series or just spend some time just in peace and quiet, relaxing. Sometimes you're just so tired that you just need a nap. Going to a hotel and just taking a nap is a great place. Also, like having a place where there's a pool and a hot tub, maybe if you don't have those things at home, is really great. So you really want to find a way to disconnect yourself from your regular life. You might be able to do that at home. If you can't do that at home, you might want to stay at a friend's place or go to a hotel, but really finding a way to just disconnect yourself from normal life. When you return to normal life, you'll have a bigger fondness and appreciation for the things that you have on a day-to-day basis. My mom used to always say absence makes the heart grow fonder, and in this case it really is true. Remove yourself from those responsibilities, but you don't necessarily have to remove yourself from the city or like go somewhere else to enjoy yourself or give yourself a good time. You can do it right at home. So now that I've gone through all the tips of how to be a tourist in your own city, I am going to give some Detroit specific tips for underrated things to do here in Detroit, because people that live here always say there's nothing to do, and that could be farther from the truth. You just gotta find things to do in the city. If you have a city that you'd like me to cover on my channel, just comment down below what city you want me to talk about and I'll find something to do there, I promise. So my number one thing for underrated things to do in Detroit, or Metro Detroit I should say, is a speakeasy. It's called Johnny's Speakeasy. Johnny's Speakeasy is actually so cool because you can't just like show up for dinner. You have to have reservations, and you also have to have a specific code. So you would book Johnny's Speakeasy for a particular day. On that day, they're gonna text you the code. For example, the code is mango. You kind of show up to this alley in downtown Royal Oak and you knock on the door, and someone's gonna come out and they're gonna ask you for the code. If you do not have the code, you will not be eating dinner. You have to have the code in order to go in and enjoy your dinner. And it's actually just a really cool environment, and something that I hadn't heard about until I was maybe like 26 years old. So it's a really great, really underrated place. The food is really good. They have a lot of unique dishes. I know that they had swordfish once when I went. I like steak and fries. I'm kind of a basic girl. They got really great steak. So it's a really great option. If you have not tried it before, I would definitely say that's a great place to try. My number two thing to try in the Metro Detroit area is actually a sensory deprivation tank. Now, I know that like when you hear that, you're like, whoa, like that sounds kind of weird and out there. It's actually so nice and so relaxing, especially if you're like a busy parent or you just generally lead a very busy, high stress lifestyle. You can honestly just feel all of your worries melting away off of you. It is so nice and peaceful. I would definitely choose a sensory deprivation tank alone versus like going to a spa and still having to interact with people and drain my social media even more than it was already drained. A sensory deprivation tank, you just get to be alone with you, your thoughts. There's music that you can listen to. There's lights in the tank if you would prefer lights. You can have any color you want. It's really just a great way to relax and de-stress from life. So I did a sensory deprivation tank. The one that I went to was True Rest Float Spa, which I know is a chain and they have multiple. But there are many sensory deprivation tanks even in downtown Detroit that I know that you can go and visit. So I would definitely say, even though it sounds a little wonky, give it a shot. It's gonna be one of the most relaxing experiences of your life. My third thing that you can do in the Metro Detroit area is actually go skydiving. And it's so crazy because I tell people this all the time and I show them the videos of me having been skydiving and they're like, oh my gosh, where did you go? They like assume that I did this on vacation. And no, I did this like 30 minutes from my house. It's really not super duper far, and it's also not super duper expensive. So I would definitely say if you are a thrill seeker like I am, this is something that you might want to try. They have flights in Ray, Michigan. The place that I went to is called Midwest Freefall, and they actually have a package that you can select where you record yourself falling from a plane. So that's really cool, and it's a memory that you can have forever. I have videos of me jumping from a plane, my boyfriend, my brother jumping from a plane. We all got like this package where we can always have this video and pictures of just us free falling, and it's a feeling, like a sensation that you'll never forget. It's a visual you'll never forget. It's really just so cool. The only thing I will say is if you are someone who wears glasses like I do, you might want to put in contacts that day because it can affect your goggles. So that's the only thing I would say, or find something, you know, a smaller pair of glasses that really aren't going to be affected by the protective face wear that you wear. And my last tip for people who maybe aren't on board with jumping out of a plane as much as I am is to stay inside but still get some air on a helicopter tour. I went on a helicopter tour with my boyfriend for our first anniversary. It was either our first or second anniversary, and we had just the time of our life. You get amazing panoramic views. You know, it's not as thrilling and heart-pounding as jumping out of a plane, but it's still a very thrilling and life-changing experience. It's something that I've never forgotten, and I don't think I ever will. Being on a helicopter feels a little bit different from like a giant plane, so definitely be prepared for that. In Metro Detroit, we actually went to Max Flight Helicopter Services, which are in Grosse Ile, Michigan. We were actually able to fly all the way from Grosse Ile to downtown Detroit where our house was, see our house, and then fly back to Grosse Ile in, you know, quite a short time. So it was really an amazing experience. It was an unforgettable anniversary gift to Manny. He had no idea where we were going. And it's something that I would definitely say everyone should try at least once. You also get to take like really cool pictures in front of a helicopter. So if you're a photo person and you want to get like some flicks for the gram, this is definitely one of the things that you want to try out. All right, so those are my tips to being a tourist in your own city, as well as a couple of things that I did to be a tourist in my own city. Like I mentioned before, if you have a specific city that you're in and you don't really know great things to do in that area, definitely comment down below and I will give you a list. You can even DM me about like a list of, you know, areas that you're wanting to visit or areas that you live that you want me to do a list about. I would be glad to do a list about that. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next week.